And it came on his last lap. Lap number 3 of 3 was his. And look at the Brian Cronk, Brad Gentry, Justin Evans, Jody Tanner, Tim Clark. Now there's a name that was that 52 Camaro. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
What do you guys know about this guy?
Absolutely nothing.
I'm in the same boat you are, and this dude showed up. He's an Albany driver. He's out of Albany. He was fast, but then he'd drive through the field and get caught and spin and just
start over again.
He would.
And again.
I think the car looked a little loose, but it was fast.
If I remember right, I think I commented on him driving in really hard. I think he might have been over driving the car because he would drive into one, push up real high, and then come off 2. And same thing down in 3 and 4. He's doing the same thing at both ends.
And having to really sling that right rear out to get the car to turn.
So I think in his case, and I'm no expert by no means, but I'd like to just say to him, if I would have had a chance to talk face to face, slow down to go fast,
and
that would have helped him immensely.
I tell my dad that every weekend.
Yeah,
I don't think you have to. Your dad is fast, man. Jody Tanner is. Go back up to that list.
He qualified 4th.
Yeah. And it's not uncommon to see him in the Trophy Dash. It's not uncommon to see him in the Trophy Dash in the next division we're going to talk about, the sports mix. He pulls double duty every week.
Yeah.
If he had it his way, he'd do all classes.
He would.
Yeah, he would.
He loves run an Ironman every week.
Joey, how old is your dad?
He's 64.
64, and the guy gets out
65, sorry.
Is he?
65.
And just wheels that race car. I mean, he wheels it.
And he's the first one to tell you he just has the time of his life. That's his happy place, man.
It is.
And that's just cool.
He's one of the guys.
It doesn't matter what happens to the car. I mean, it does, but he doesn't get mad about things. He just goes out there and has fun.
He truly is one of those guys where it doesn't matter if he wins or finishes 10th.
Right.
The guy is having so much fun in that race car, and it shows. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him mad. I mean, I can't say that I've seen him mad at the track or act like, get emotional and want to stomp over someone's pit. And
no, never seen that.
You just don't see it.
2 times in my life.
He's just having fun.
Well, that's a heck of a thing to say coming from his son.
Yeah, and that's and he'll tell you, hey man, I'm just out here driving in circles, having fun, and he's fast. That little 36 Camaro.
He'll race till he can't walk. He loves to race.
He does.
He'll race till he has to race his toilet.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that, I mean, and it's true when I say this. You've got guys that you kind of develop friendships with, and we're friends with all those guys out there. I mean, there's not anybody at the racetrack that I can't say I don't like, as far as going to the pit areas. I mean, if I see someone, I go, I'm not going to their pit. I don't have that, and you'll have that with some PR media guys, whatever. There's just, like anybody else, not everybody's personality gets along. I can say at Willamette or any other track I go to right now, I don't have that situation. But your dad's pit area is one we always stop by.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun to talk to.
You know what? I've known Jody probably for about as old as Joey is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known Jody for a lot of years.
Days at Portland Speedway.
Portland Speedway, you bet.
But he's just one of those guys that
and he's always been the same way. Just always happy to race.
He's a kick in
the
butt, man.
He really
I
is.
gotta laugh at her every time I see him. He wears an old suit from like 1998 with his tennis shoes, and it's just funny. He walks around the pits with his bag of pretzels.
Right?
He's so old school. It's funny.
Kind of like John Force, old school.
I love it. But he's a fun dude. It's always fun to see him pull double duty because he'll take that little Camaro, go run the Sportsman guys, and we'll talk about him. We'll see where he qualified. But your top 5 qualifiers. This is a Sportsman class. This is Street Stocks.
This is your main in the Street Stocks.
The main in the Street Stocks. We talked about Brian Cronk winning earlier, and he was fast in that 129.
Look at the split.
What?
6 seconds.
Yeah, he checked out. He was gone. He had that, like Warren said, he had that car rolled over, and it was like Joey said, it looked like a late model.
It really does look like a late model when that car gets pinned down.
The way that car is balanced and set up, I mean,
the way it sounds, it's got a healthy sounding motor in it.
It's a 602.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Well, and I think in that class, to have a rear spoiler, which he does, you can only have a 602.
Yeah.
That's it.
My dad has one too.
Yeah, I think there was like the top 5 cars. I think were all 602, if I remember right.
Gentry has one.
Yep. And your dad's got a 602.
Yeah, I don't know what Bill's
pretty
running.
sure. Well, Bill Allison's car has a spoiler. I'm pretty sure he has to have a 602 if he has a spoiler.
I don't understand why a street stock guy wouldn't buy a 602.
I don't either.
They're $3,000,
and
you run off pump gas.
Right. and they're about the
and
most
they do
dependable.
not blow up.
Right, that's to say
Yeah.
they're just
I
the
mean,
most.
you can literally run the bejesus out of them.
Yep.
They won't blow up.
They're the most dependable engines out there you can buy. I mean, there's guys that'll run them 90 to 100 races before you got to even get into them, and I know that because there's guys that'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And for $3,000, you can't.
And
go
even
wrong.
then, you really can't get into them.
What's it cost to freshen one up?
Call
Who
them.
cares?
Who
Get
cares?
rid of it and buy a new one.
For
Exactly.
$3,000,
Yeah, no
for
kidding.
$3,000,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, that
I
makes
mean,
good sense.
When you were running the big motors, what was it costing to freshen every year? Like
Oh, God.
10, 20 grand?
That was a lot. It was about anywhere from $5 to $10,000, depending on.
Yeah.
what you
I
had to
know
do.
when I was with Hawks and we had that SVO Ford. It was built by Larson and King up in Portland. Had the Yates heads, and I mean it was the best of the best you could buy. It was about $11,000 every year to
freshen it.
Yeah.
Was he sending it back somewhere? Or?
Well, the heads would go back to Yates, but the engine would go over to Larson and King. And they even said, "Man, we have never seen heads like this. This is the hardest aluminum we've ever seen." I mean, they were just ecstatic about those heads, but nice. It was, but $11,000. That's almost 4 602s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
I mean, you're not going to get the
Well,
power.
that's-
You're not going to get
that's the
800
thing with-
horsepower out of a 602. But
Exactly. But that's the thing with the 604s. The IMCA sealed 604s is that unless it breaks,
right,
you cannot get into it.
right.
You can't freshen it every year. If it's a sealed 604,
We can't touch it.
they will not open that motor up unless it breaks.
And then if it is freshened, it gets sealed again, correct? I mean,
If
isn't
it
it sealed
break-
by the same?
But it has to be done by a.
By-
by
right.
somebody.
There's
in
only-
particular. There's only
right.
two people.
Yeah,
I think
Paul and Rogers.
Grays and
Grays and Rogers are the only guys in Oregon that can touch a 604 or 602 IMCA seal.
IMCA.
Right.
But even then, there are certain specs. They can only mill the head, like shave the head, like couple thousandths.
you can't do much to them.
Yeah, the IMCA is tight on the rules.
Yeah. Good.
It's
I think it should be that way in all classes.
So
Actually.
let's talk about this. So we're talking crate motors. 602, $3,000. 604. What are we looking at?
7.
$5,600. I thought was the price of them. Am
56,
Let me look.
57.
$6,000
somewhere in
maybe?
there.
And what are we looking at for the 525?
$9,700.
$9,700. So you're looking at, let's call it $10,000.
Yeah.
Here we go.
No, we're
Wait
not there
for
yet.
it.
Don't. Here we go.
Depending on where you get them from, you
Right.
can get different deals at other places at different.
So really, if you're gonna get a crate motor, get it dynoed, because it happens. 602 dynoed, you're looking about 4,300.
Okay.
604 dynoed, 73.5.
Okay.
CT 525,
And Joey called it $9,700.
$9,700.
well,
okay.
I just remember back in the day those 604s.
You're
they
right.
were like $5,500 straight from GM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So $9,700 for the 525, and you're what they say 550 horsepower.
Compared to those 604s roughly had about 400, 360,
3.5.
Yeah.
3.5, I think.
But I mean, like Joey said, if you're going to go run street stocks, why not? Why wouldn't you have one? You're right. I would. Certainly would. I mean, dependability for the cost, you can't go wrong.
Exactly.
And you see that with the top 5 cars right there. We know Brandon Crawford's car has a spoiler, so it has to be a 602 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Cronk, Brad Gentry, Jody Tanner, Bill Allison, Brandon Crawford. Brandon Crawford's in the old Kyle Yak car, who won a championship. Sean French, second-year driver, was 6th in the 98, the Amco Transmissions 98 car. He's
Dakota Goddard.
Sean French.
no,
No,
Dakota,
Sean French. No.
Dakota Goddard drives 89. His grandpa drives 98.
Gotcha.
Let's go to the heat race, number 1.
For
Street stocks. Weren't we just in street stocks?
we were in the main
That
for the
was
street
main.
stocks.
That was the main.
There's your qualifying for the sportsman, since you want to talk about Jody again.
So look at this. Sportsman cars. Top 2 cars are Hackney cars.
And look at that split.
Ryan Emery, 3rd fast. James Slover, Eric Lindquist, your top 5. Sandy Sanders, just outside the top. I mean, literally 17.521 to a 17.522. 16.890 for fast time.
16.890 for fast time. Old man Hackney.
Did you watch him
483
Saturday night?
back.
Did you watch Glenn Hackney Saturday night?
He was hooked up
Yeah.
until he broke.
He didn't break. That thing
can't
exploded.
Oh, that's right. He
Motor?
Yes. That thing went up like a grenade.
Yeah, that's too bad.
That was a smoky mess.
And he had about, I'd say a straightaway lead on the
He
second
did.
place. And
He
was gone.
was gone.
He was gone. The caution came out.
That's right, because I was talking about they always run better right before they blow.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
And the caution came out. They bunched him up. They took off. He ran like 2 laps, started developing a lead. Boom, up in smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, he was hooked up on a rail.
Yep.
Jeff Rash, didn't he lose a driveline, or was that
Yeah, during the heat race.
during the heat race? Okay.
And look, so Ryan Emery, he broke a rear end.
Yeah,
Remember that? So your top 3 cars didn't even, 2 of them didn't even start the main.
Rash did start the main.
Rash is the only one that started the main.
Yep.
Hang on. Let's
And-
take a look.
Slover in the 25.
Yep, he took her home.
Now, and we
And
talked.
we talk about him every week, you know.
We did. Well, that car is fast, and I think what we talked about so far was, that car was always set on 3 wheels.
It's a 3-wheel car.
It's like watching Greg Walters back in the 90s where the left front was so high he couldn't see over the front of the car and had to look at the wall to see. You know what I
That's
mean?
the way those cars back on the East Coast, the twister chassis were.
They
were
used,
running.
yeah. Well, you see guys, see cars doing that anymore.
No,
But
they weren't so stiff like Slover's cars. Slover's car comes up like, very very stiff.
That thing's a 3-wheeler.
Well,
Yeah,
not anymore.
but-
They changed that setup, and he actually said he likes it a lot better. The car's a lot smoother. It's not slamming around. He can drive it straight on the straightaways.
It's a little softer 3-wheeler.
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, you know what? He won the Strawberry Cup. I mean,
He sure did.
came across
Kudos.
first in the A. But here's the thing. Sandy Sanders, he came from deep in the field.
Yeah.
Went through traffic. And I don't know if he had enough time to – I mean, he was the fastest car in the main. What was that lap time? 17.859?
17.869.
8.69. Fastest car in the main. I think had we had one more caution or had it gone, say, even 5-10 more laps, the race we would have seen for the win would have been fantastic.
I think if you would have given it 3 more laps.
Sanders was coming.
Yeah.
But he got to a point there, the first, the last couple laps before the checkered. I mean, he reeled him in, but then that gap started getting, it wasn't closing as fast. Slover, I mean, give him credit. Dude drove a fantastic race, actually spun and came from the back of the A in the feature to win the Strawberry Cup. I mean, that's, and this class of cars, the sportsmen, pretty competitive cars. Casey Rhodes is fast. Jeff Rash finished 4th. Eric Lindquist, I think he's like 2nd in points or something like that.
Well, it just goes to show you got.
I've got the
you
points.
Got
We'll talk about that in a
11
little bit.
cars on the lead lap after 25 laps. That just tells you how much tighter racing
and look at
that
this.
class is.
So this is the sportsman feature, and we've got Mikey Breakall finished 7th in a street stock, her first time out this year.
Congratulations to her on graduating yesterday.
Yep,
Yes.
she graduated yesterday. That's right. Jody Tanner just outside the top 10 in a street stock. I mean, it's cool to see those little Camaros get out there and run with these chassis cars and be competitive.
You see that?
Mark Von Sild, first time out, gets a top 10 finish. Yep. I mean, this class, I mean, Slover, Sanders, Rhodes, Rash, Lindquist, Titus, who already has. So Slover has a win. Sanders has a win. Jeff Rash has a win. Titus has a win. Who else on this list this year has a feature win?
That's it.
So 4. Well, there's only been 4 races in that class.
Yeah.
And we've got 4 different winners. Pretty competitive field of cars.
That's a
Very,
class.
very
Like,
competitive.
Those top 4 are usually really close. I don't get a lot of time to watch, but when I do,
Yeah, I mean,
It's a tight-
you
it's
see
a
those
tight
guys.
field.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So points, right as they sit right now in the sportsmen's, Slover's out front with 156.
Right.
Jeff Rash in 2nd with 131. Eric Lindquist in 4th
Okay, he's 4th.
with 128. Lindquist is in 3rd. Titus is in 4th with 127. Rounding out your top 5 in points
Cruzy.
is Cruzy with
Yep.
125.
And Cruzy's the only one in a sport mod in this field.
Yeah.
On the G60s. And that we've seen how fast that modified is. I mean, he's another guy that hasn't had the best of luck this year, but that little sport mod Cruzy's in is a pretty fast little race car.
Yes, he is.
We've seen him do really well.
he's going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
Well, once you
Yeah.
get that, I mean, this is his first year in that type of race car on those tires. I mean, that's, you're coming out of the big heavy cars like he's coming out of in the street stocks to a sport mod. That's
He's already
pretty
shown.
different type
He's
of race
already
car.
shown improvement. He's coming around.
Absolutely, and he'll be one of those guys we'll see in victory lane before the
I
season's
think
over.
so. Absolutely.
Yeah. Super Sports. Now here's the class.
Oh my God!
Here's the class that man.
Wow.
Saturday night was this. I don't know if it was really, really good or if it was really, really bad.
Depends on how you look at it.
It does, because the racing that we saw
was really, really